Today I have a guest who is a father, a pastor, and an IT consultant. And just FYI, he's my elder brother, and he has two people in between. So you know what I'm saying. So please, without much further ado, I present to you Pastor Eddie.
Yeah, great. What's up, bro? Good to be here. The viewers, thank you for joining us. I hope that as we contemplate, you take some nuggets. Great show.
All right, thank you, Pastor Eddie. Today, the topic we want you to help us demystify is setting and achieving big goals. And please just take us through how people who are suffering with that hesitation or something that might be kind of in the way of achieving that big goals. We would like you to shed light on that.
Oh, okay, brilliant. I think 2025, as we all know, it's a wonderful year, and we know that there's going to be great things happening this year. Every year poses a great opportunity to do a lot of things. So we all start the year with high hopes, with excitement, with different resolutions. But the topic today is important because it's very, very vital to set and achieve big goals this year. And you want to start on the right foot. Just like somebody that's running a race, if you have a bad start, the likelihood of you getting to the end of that race and winning that race it reduces because you had a bad start. So I will say the first thing to do is to evaluate. Do either a self-evaluation. If it's a business, you want to do evaluation. Normally people will evaluate at the end of the year just to see what have we done. And at the beginning of year, as you're setting goals, you have to evaluate where you are first. So when we talk about setting goals or setting vision, an example is like you're trying to get from where you are, point A, to point, let's say, C or D, depending on where you are. So first thing to do is self-evaluation. Try and figure out where you are. Try and figure out what were the things that hindered you last year. What were the goals you set last year? Why were you not able to achieve those goals? Are there some bad habits that you've had along the way that has hindered you from actually achieving the goals that you set? So these are some of the things that it's very important to start from evaluating yourself so that you don't repeat the same thing that you do every year. So statistics will say 92% of people start the year and give all kinds of resolution, all kinds of I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna lose some weight, the usual thing at the beginning of the year, and then you find out that by November, December, you've not achieved anything. Why? Because there's some bad attitudes that you need to deal with. And one of the attitudes, I will just mention a couple because I don't want it's quite in depth if I want to discuss about it. So one of the attitudes is like procrastination. Okay, so last year, what did you procrastinate? What were you supposed to do? And you kept on moving it. If you're somebody that procrastinates and you discover that that's a bad behavior or weakness or a bad habit, in order for you to achieve your goals in 2025, you need to deal with that. Because there's no point making new goals if you're not going to deal with that attitude. So what are the ways that you can deal with that as attitude of procrastination? You can get somebody to be accountable. You can get somebody that's like an accountability partner, or maybe a leader that you respect, or somebody that you maybe get a mentor that can help you to navigate this period. Self-evaluation sometimes might be speaking to a mentor. And it's important that everybody has like a mentor. So it might be business mentor, it might be spiritual mentor. So it's in those mentor or coaches, they're quite important in your life to kind of point out some areas where you have some habits that are stopping you from being the best that you can. Now, when you've done those evaluation and you've been able to set accountability members or accountability friends, or it could be your family, you've set that measure, to control yourself, to make sure that that habit doesn't come again in 2025, to stop you from doing what you need to do. So that's the bit of self-evaluation. Now, setting a goal means that you're going to think of what do I intend to achieve at the end of the year. I've got 12 months. Well, we're almost at the end of January now, so I've got 11 months. So in these 11 months, what do I want to achieve by December 2025? Now, it's important to note some key things. Number one, it's important to note that those goals must be realistic. So what happens is that a lot of times people set goals that are not realistic, and they end up depressed by December, or they end up, getting disappointed or discouraged because it's so far away that there's no way they're going to make it. Because initially, when they were setting the goal, they just for example, we say, okay, I'm somebody that works in the checkout maybe, or a receptionist, wants to be a CEO at the end of the month, or wants to be a manager at the end of the month. That's not a realistic goal. Okay, God can do anything, but that is not a realistic goal. So whatever field you are in career, or it might be spiritually, people want to, I want to set a goal that every day, this is quite common, you say, every day I want to pray 1 hour. Every day I want to read my Bible 30 minutes. No, sometimes that is not realistic. So you can say, okay, at the end of the year, I want to be able to be praying for an hour, or I want to be able to be praying consistently for 45 minutes, or I want to be able to have done X, Y, Z. But it's important that we have realistic goals so that you can meet the goal, because there's something about meeting a target. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is, you have this big goal, you want to break it down into smaller chunks. So in order for me to achieve this big goal, let's say for example, I want to buy a house. The house is 100,000. Okay, so what do I need to do in 12 months to buy the house by December? If that's your target, that's your goal for the year. So then you now need to break it into smaller bits. Okay, number one, what do I need to have in order to get the property? So you do your research. So this is where when you want to set goal, you definitely have to have done your research. So you've not just self-evaluated yourself and you've put checks and balances for yourself, attitude-wise or behavior. Now, in order for you to set the goal that you want to set, you need to do some research. What do I need to do to become what I want to become at the end of the year? At the end of the year, I want to be a supervisor. I've been working in this company for, let's say, about 2 years now. What do I need to do? Okay, there might be some trainings. You might have to do leadership training courses. How do I get those leadership? So those are the kind of research that I need to do. I want to buy the property. What do I need? I need to check my credit rating. Is my credit rating good? How much deposit do I need? What bank is giving what type of mortgage? What's the percentage to APR mortgage? So all those are the kind of things that you need to factor in, so that when you're about to draw your vision board, which helps you to kind of keep track of the vision and what it takes for you to do the vision. So when you broke it to smaller bits, you have your vision board. On the board, I want to buy this nice shiny house, 100,000. This is the picture of the house. This is the numbers of rooms I want. This is the number of bathrooms. So you've got that specification. That's the goal. That's the vision. That's where I want to get to. Now you have to break it into smaller bits after doing your research. Very important. How much do I need? Okay, I went to the bank. I had a conversation, and the bank says I need 10% deposit. So first goal, we need to have deposit. So you can put that on your vision board. You've got the house, which is the final goal at the end of the month, at the end of the year. And then you start saying, okay, I need to raise a deposit, 10%. Let's say it's 10,000. So how much do I earn every month? So you see, we're now meticulously breaking down from that big chunk of the goal. We're now breaking it into, okay, I need to raise 10,000. So how can I raise 10,000? How much do I get every month? do I need to take an extra job in order to be able to save 10,000 at the end of the month? What do I need to do? So this is when the other small chunks pop up as you do your research. Okay, I'm gonna need 10,000. So if I do 1,000 every month, I'm gonna get 10,000 at the end of the month. Okay, I can't save 1,000 a month. By the time I do my expenditure, I can't do it. Okay, so what do I need to do? Well, I can make 800. So that means if I want to achieve that goal, I need to get a side hustle for 200 every month. So okay, Uber Eats. Okay, in the evenings you do. So this is how there's a main goal, and then you set small goals that you meet every month. So achieving a goal, a lot of times, is a product of small things you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I just want to, get your take on this, because it looks like most people have, this issue in terms of, like, they've made all the, they've done the research, they've made all the calculations, and where do you draw the line between a big goal and in terms of where you are right now in terms of capacity? Say, for instance, you've set that goal, you want to start a business, and the business, maybe, let me just use the figure you used, 100,000, and your earnings is 500. See what I mean?
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you just say, you know what, I want to start this business in this 2025. So what's your advice to people like that in terms of where that's why it's a big goal, achieving a big goal? What would be your take on that?
I think there are two things there. I think as a child of God, I would say be led. So if the Lord is leading you to start maybe a business, yes, you do your research. And if you're doing your research and you need to, for example, you talked about a business, I'm getting 500 a month. How much do I need to start the business? So let's say I need 100,000 to start the business. Because I earn £500 a month, it's going to be difficult for me to, by the time I take out my maybe expenditure, let's say my expenditure is like £300, have £200 left. And even if I save £200 every month till the end of the year, I'm not going to make that amount up. So this is where we come back again to realistic. Is that a realistic goal to start a business? What, after you've done the research and I need 100,000, okay, maybe one of the things you find out is that some banks might do start a business loan. Okay, I might still be able to start the business. So it depends on your research, and that's why that research is important before you set a goal. Because when you do the research and you find out that there are some banks, I know in the UK, there are some banks that give start a loan. Now the question is, am I qualified to start? So my target is that I want to go to the bank and I want to ask them for 100,000 by the end of the year in order to start the business. So what do I need? What are the qualifications? What are the criteria I need to meet in order for the bank to meet the loan? So we now talk about, okay, are they going to look at my credit rating? Let me look at my credit rating. So what do I need to do between now and the end of the year with my credit rating? Maybe I've gone and checked my credit score and I discover where my credit score is. What do I need to do to bring that score to where, after I've checked the criteria, the bank would give me the loan? So depending on where you are, that goal becomes a realistic goal or an unrealistic goal. So if it's you're led by you feel the Lord is leading you to start a business, that's a different dynamics, because when God leads you, he provides that grace to do it. So you might not meet all the criteria, but God might just connect you with somebody, and then the person goes, okay, you're just having a conversation. You say, oh, I have this idea, I want to, and the person like, oh yeah, okay, listen, I have the funds. God can do that also. So you could go to the bank. Another second thing is that you can also look for investors. Okay, maybe you've checked your credit rating and you've messed up your credit rating due to some funny things that you did in time past, or you've not paid your bills on time. That's another situation, because we have to be practical. That could be a situation, but the person feels, okay, I want to start this business. Give investors, look for investors, have a conversation. I have this idea. Draw up your business plan. After you've done the research, you see that, okay, my credit is not too good. Put a business plan together. Even if you're going to the bank, you're going to need to put a business plan together. Make sure that you've done all the research, and then now you're now saying, okay, I'm looking for investors. What can I do to be able to get investors? Okay, I need to upskill my communication skill, not too good. I need to sell this product. I need to sell this idea. So then this is where you break that. Still want to start the business, but now you're now breaking it into, okay, I need to go for a communication class. I need to join this class of speakers where people can speak. So there are some classes where you can take to make you like a speaking coach, and how to speak before people, how to sell yourself. So
another thing I just while you were speaking is the place of people. Actually, I'm a great believer of people starting small, and it sounds to me the way you've broken it down is like there's a lot of work for you to do by yourself before you start looking at funds or investment or things, which is really good, because a lot of people are in this segment where they're like, okay, I want to achieve this, I want to start a business, I want to go into some kind of investment, and what do I need to do? So just knowing that you can have a lot on your table in terms of research, in terms of even testing your ideas before you meet investors, so they can actually take you seriously. Like you could say, okay, we've tested this in the past 6 months. We had about maybe 200 people, and then we have more orders, but we're unable to deliver. Hence, we're coming here to source for funds. So I think that's a good a way to look at it as well, and to approach it. And in terms of patience as well, knowing that you talked about timing, and it's quite important that sometimes it might not just be the right time. I believe in the stirring of the waters, where God has said, I think this is your time, and if that is your time, everything tends to move quickly.
Everything
you have
just
less
aligns.
a resistance, as opposed to when you're forcing something, like you said, you just got a job and you want to be a manager in the next 6 months. Well, a miracle can happen if God told you, or an angel appeared to you by night and say, you'll be a manager. But then you need to be equipped to be a manager.
Correct.
So there will be constant learning and all of it. That was an interesting take on that. We'll take a little break and we'll come back. Please hang tight on the Contemplate Show. We still have Pastor Eddie, who is shedding light on achieving goals and setting the 2025 resolution or vision for yourself. Thank you, Pastor Eddie, for that insight. We want you to give us more steps in being able to achieve our visions, our goals in this 2025.
Okay, so just a bit of recap. We talked about self-evaluation. Most people do it at the end of the year, but if you haven't done it at the beginning of the year, it's okay to do it now. So self-evaluate. When you've evaluated yourself and you've seen habits or things that have hindered you from achieving your goal last year, you have to set up almost like a care plan of how to manage that. So it could be having accountability friends or family to keep you on the straight and the narrow, like we call it, just to keep you on your toes and making sure that you actually do what you say you're gonna do. So it's taken out of your hands now to somebody to help supervise you. Sometimes you do need people to keep you accountable. And then we now talked about having a vision of what you want to do and what you want to achieve this year. it's important to have like a clear vision of what you want. So when we talked about earlier, I mean, let's say for example you want to buy a house, there has to be like a vision of what type of house, how many rooms. It's actually good to have like a picture of what you want to do. It's quite it helps you begin to bring things into perspective. So I'm somebody that like to see it. You know, the Bible will say as far as your eye can see. So if you see it, it tends to almost like you begin to visualize where you're going to be. So let's call it point A to point C. So you begin to visualize point C. Now that begins to push you to the place of research. And I said that though that research brings out the different little steps to get to that eventual goal at the end. So if your vision is to buy a house, there are certain small steps that brings you towards buying the house. It might just be as simple as saving every month for the deposit. So every month you take that step, it brings you towards that goal. I also said that it's important that the goal is realistic, because if not, you're gonna get frustrated, because if it's just way off, it's unrealistic, then it's going to be difficult for you to get there. Another thing that I'll talk about is it's very important to celebrate wins, small wins. So because you're having like a short-term goal, so you have a long-term goal, which is the end of the year, you break it down to short-term goals. So every month when you saving your 200, like for example you want to buy the house, you're saving your 200. When you get that 200, you know, give yourself a treat. Awesome, great.
So you give yourself a treat from the 200.
Yourself a treat, tap yourself in the back. Yes.
Okay.
It's the whole concept is to picture yourself getting closer. It's like when you're driving, you know, whenever I'm doing like long trips and I'm maybe driving from, let's say, London to Manchester, the closer I'm getting to Manchester, the more there's more energy to, yes, come on, let's go, we're almost there. So it's like every step you take, you celebrate it. Every step you take, you celebrate it, because that step is taking you closer to your goal. So celebrate every step that you take. Let it be almost like okay, for example, let's say I'm able to meet my goal at the end of the month. Give yourself a treat, you know, just relax, you know, go outside, get yourself a coffee, do you know what I mean? go to Starbucks and give yourself a treat, like, yeah, you've done well, tap yourself in the back, because you know, it's important that you encourage yourself. I think that's the whole essence of that, celebrating small wins, because it's the small wins that lead to the big success. The small wins every month will get you to that vision at the end. So learn to do that. Celebrate, because it gives you like a boost. You're looking forward to the next small win, and then you give yourself a little bit of treat. So that's very, very important. Somebody will say it's not the destination, it's the journey. You want to enjoy the journey. We love the destination, but we want to try and also enjoy the journey. So after every win, after every small win in any goal, celebrate it. Okay? Because some people are praying to be where you are. Some people are praying. Some people's vision or goal is actually what the first step that you've just taken. That small win is what somebody else goal at the end of the month, on the year. So what you celebrating, let's say for example at the end of January, you've been able to take a step, you've been able to achieve your first goal. That's somebody else has that as their December goal. So they need 12 months to get to where you are. So celebrate every win, because it gives you that boost, that, you know, that ginger. Yes, come on, let's go next month again. We nailed it. So it's kind of the sales guys. We nailed our target this month. Come on, guys. Let's celebrate. Let's be excited, because we've nailed this month. So let's go next month again, you know. So it gives you that vitality and that ginger and that energy, that positive energy to get to the next month. Bible will say in everything give thanks. So you want to appreciate the capacity to do it, because not a lot of people set goals for themselves, but not everybody gets to that point. So you are just celebrating, and that kind of, it gives you that renewed hope for the next month. So I will say, next thing I will advise is celebrate small wins, celebrate small steps, knowing that each step you take gets you closer to where you want to be. Yeah. So the excitement is going up. So celebrate those wins. That also, I would say, it's I can add that to it. It's very important. Most people don't do it. It's like they're waiting for the big stuff.
Yeah, for me, I'm guilty of that as well, because I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that now I recognize that I've hit a milestone, but I just quickly, I'm grateful, and I move on, because I have this, issue of not trying to dwell so much on the wins, because sometimes it makes you complacent. There are people who probably they set a goal to save like $200 every month, and they hit the first month and they're jubilating, and the next month they're not really focused on what they did in terms of like what you said. Just keep reevaluating. How was I successful? How was my spending habit? How did I, so there should be that, analysis to be able to replicate. So I celebrate, but very brief. I'm like, we got this. Now move. So how can I sustain? Sustaining that momentum for me is huge. And so I agree with you that, I may not go to Starbucks or, get a coffee or something. But I just say, thank you, Lord. I've hit this milestone. Straight away, I move, I dust myself. I don't want to get sucked into that win, and I move on in order to keep that momentum. So like everyone has what works for them, but what is important with what you've said is take out time to show gratitude to God and say, what? I've hit this milestone.
Yeah, that's exactly important. The reason why I say it is because it's good to want more. So what you're doing is that you're striking a balance. So what you've just said is strike a balance. Don't just rejoicing. No, we met the target this month, at least for that day on the 31st. Yes, we did it. Then on Monday it's a reset with a new vigor to start again. Because you're doing that because you're almost like patting yourself at the back. Bible will say, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. You are encouraging yourself because you know the sacrifice that you make. And I think that's something that I should caveat. Two things. Number one, in order for you to achieve your goals, there's going to be sacrifice. So certain things are going to be painful. Certain things are going to be uncomfortable. So it's almost like, we made it. We did it this month. So you've been through the pain. In order for you to achieve the goals, whatever goals you're setting, losing weight, starting a business, doing a course in order to further your career, it's going to require sacrifice. And so you're rejoicing or you're celebrating that I've been able to survive the sacrifice and I've achieved this goal. So that's all part of reset, rejoicing, and happy, because it's going to take sacrifice. So I think I want to caveat this into whatever goal you're setting, there's going to be sacrifice. And if you're not ready for the sacrifice, there's no point in setting the goal, because that's why we come back to the habit again. If your habit is running away from challenges, running away from struggles, running away from sacrifices, you definitely need a serious accountability issue or somebody, a coach or stuff like this to talk to you and get your frame of mind and deal with that first before you now even say you want to start drawing out a goal or plan or vision board. All those things are fine. But if you're not applying it, if you're not implementing the plan remains a plan till it's implemented. True. If it's not implemented, it's just another plan. There's plans everywhere. But we need to start implementing the plan. God will say, let there be light. There was light. You had the plan. but you have to start implementing the plan, and then you don't have heaven and earth. So just caveat, very, very big caveat, sacrifice is part of achieving goal.
Speaking of sacrifice, Pastor Eddie, would you touch on the sacrifice bit? Because I think that might be a challenge for some people, especially those who feel they are putting in the effort, they are in their own books, they are making the sacrifice, and you are saying, well, your sacrifice needs to be in line with the plan. Can you help people who are struggling with an island of sacrifice, not merging it with their plan?
I was going to strike a balance. So one is I'll just do a U-turn, but let me touch on the 2 points I was going to caveat everything that I was saying when you're drawing a plan. So I'm going to come back and answer that question. So one caveat that covers everything that we're talking about today. One is sacrifice. In order to achieve goal, there has to be some kind of sacrifice. To what degree? Depending on where your goal is. Now, another thing to caveat is the second thing that I want to talk to you about is it's just gone off my head now. I was gonna say is it's gone now. Yeah, it will come. Yeah, so I think I'll just spin round, because I was going to talk about create room for so don't let the plan not be too rigid. Create room for setbacks.
For flexibility.
Thank you very much. Create room for flex. That's it. So one caveat, sacrifice, and then second one is flexibility. Your plan must not just be rigid. So, for example, if you want to save £200 every month, and your expenditure, let's say you get £500 every month, and all your expenditure is £300 a month. £200, saving £200 every month is like pushing it. You're not giving yourself any room to maneuver. I'll probably suggest that you save £100 and keep £100 for any malicious expenses or any emergency that pops up. So flexibility in your plan, that you are not just locked in, that you also need to factor in setbacks, and some things might not go according to exactly how it happened. If it happened properly in January, something might come up in February, something might pop up in maybe June, July. So don't make your plan so rigid that there's no flexibility.
Sorry, you've just
so those are the two caveats, and then I'll come back to the question.
Now, you just made an interesting point before you get back to the question, please.
Okay.
While you were talking, it sounds like there's the flexibility angle you touched on was more or less like a threshold of sacrifice. Now, for some people, saving $100 when they have $200 to go in, or £200, since you're living in London, let's use that, to £200, some people might just feel, I'm just going to take this 200, I'm going to put it in. Some will just say, I need to be flexible. So I think what I'm hearing is just marinating it in that sacrifice. Every threshold of pain will give you that flexibility to really make it quicker, or you need to give yourself some kind of extension. Some people can stay, you say, because of this goal, I'm going to eat just once a day for the next 1 year.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Someone will I'm going to eat twice. So at the end of the day, what I'm hearing is there seems to be like a threshold of pain where you're saying don't be rigid if you can't do the 200. There are some people who say, this is what it takes. It will get me faster. I need to read 5 hours every day. Even when I'm sick, even when there's whatever, I will cut down whatever appointment I have. There are people like that. So it depends on, because that's what I'm hearing, depends on the threshold of pain and giving room. Say, for instance, you want to pay that $200 and, something shows up that is maybe life and death. You're suggesting let's have that flexibility. It's not the end of the world. take that 200, attend to that emergency. The sky is not going to break. What it does is just extends one more month to your timeline, and being flexible to admit that, this is a life and death situation. Hence we need to extend that, but we'll still achieve the goal. That kind of
I do think that in life we have to be flexible even with our finance. So that's why we have malicious expenses. So you don't, it's an amount when you're budgeting that you put in, okay, when we're talking about budgeting later, because this is all parts of setting goals, especially financial goals. When it comes to financial goals, there's a huge part of financial goals is budgeting. For example, we talk about the 200 pounds. You could say, okay, I'm going to read 5 times, I'm going to read 5 hours a day, I'm going to make sure that but then you also need to factor in that the brain, if your assimilation after 1 hour drops 60%,
you need to be flexible.
What's the point? You see what I'm saying? So what's the point? What's the point in reading for 5 hours and your assimilation drops after 2 hours? So because sometimes we do a lot of things. You remember what I talked about when we had a discussion probably 2 days ago or so, when I said in life it just feels like people just want to keep moving. It really doesn't matter where they're moving to. People just feel that I gotta be moving.
Yeah, I think it's because of upbringing, background, culture. Because if you don't move, you'll be left behind. So I think there might be some truth. Two things can be truthful at the same time.
I agree.
But what I'm hearing from you is, are you moving in the right direction? You can be moving, you can be easy.
That's the question. So sometimes people just somebody just talking today and the person's like, do you know what happened? I need to do this. I think I need to take up this career, project managing, blah, 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 and then, like 3 months later, the person is doing exactly the same thing. I've just had business analyst now, and I'm like, where is this? So even when it comes to career, there has to be, I'm moving towards a direction. Because there's a sense of everybody, especially because of social media and a lot of things, sometimes there's this feeling that everybody's leaving you behind. But remember, everybody's running a different race. So how can people leave you behind? Now, if you now context the mindset that, okay, maybe I should be in this particular stage and I should have acquired certain things and reached a particular point in my life, that's understandable. But then the question is, are you moving towards your destination, or are you just moving? So sometimes it just feels like everybody's on a treadmill and everybody's just running. I don't know if it's the same thing in Australia. In London, if you go to central London or you come out of a station, just sit down and look at people. It's scary because everybody's just moving. Like moving. It's like, where people going to? These people are coming back from work. People are trying to catch their train. So sometimes it just feels that some people's lives sometimes might just be like that. And what I would say to people like that is just stand still and try and figure out where you are. And that's why that self-evaluation is important. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I in this journey? Every journey starts a day, The Bible will say, don't despise the day of little beginning. So every journey starts with a step. Every movement starts with a step. So where am I? And how do I get to where I'm going? And everybody has a different destination. Yeah, everybody has a different destination.
What would be your take on this? Now, understandably, like you said, people are just moving, they're just going without, I think staying around people going the similar direction will play a good role. And I think that left behind is like a good thing when you, like you said, you know where you're going, because that's the destination. You can't just go to the airport and then you're flying nowhere. You say, oh yeah, I just gotta go. Where are you going to? So I'm a great believer that when you when you walk around and you see people doing things it reflects, if you have it in you, something would trigger and said, I said I was going to be fit. Now look at people doing stuff. So I need to exercise. So when you see people doing what you intend to do, it gives you that kind of drive. Not just for social, say because everyone is going to the gym, I want to go to the gym, or everyone is getting X and Y degree, or I just want to, for whatever. No, that's an inner drive. I was speaking to where I was working years ago. I was just talking with my coworker. I was like, about dreams and goals. We're just talking, and just life after this job. And he was like, if he doesn't have any whatever, because if he doesn't do this job, who is going to do the job? And that was it for any discussion that has to do with goal, because I just knew that this guy is absolutely going nowhere. So those kind of people, when you stay around them too much, you now start. So you want to stay around people, because that's what I'm hearing from you. You want to stay around people who are going the right direction, not just moving for moving's sake. And if you are caught up with moving for moving's sake, be still and do that self-analysis and ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing, in order to be able not just to be just making moves that do not amount to anything.
Because everybody has a purpose. Everybody has. When God created everybody, God created everybody with a unique purpose, and everybody is supposed to have a different drive. There's a certain signature that God has placed on everybody, and so when it's good to have people around you, but the first thing is to know where you are going. Is when you know where you are going, that you can identify those that are going where you're going. But if you don't know where you're going, and this is the same thing that happens, you finish secondary school, you're around some friends, what do you want to be? I want to do art, I want to do science. A large portion of those decisions are made based on, my friends are in science, my friends are in art, and that sometimes motivates a lot of people. Then they go to university, they do their first year, and they're kind of like, I don't really think this is what I want to do. Some people discover what they want to do second year. So first year, you see them switching from the course that they originally went to university to something else, because they've now figured out that I was just vibing, I was just going with the vibe. Everybody was reading law, everybody was going this direction. My friends were in this class and I just went with the flow. So I think a lot of people are just going with the flow, to be honest. I think that a lot of people don't really know where they want to be. And what it takes to get to where you want to be. So if there is in 2025, it's important to kind of self-evaluate what is your core, what is your signature. Because when you start walking towards that signature, just like we said earlier, it's easy. Okay, some people, their signature is that they can talk. You see people like Oprah Winfrey, she can talk. I was listening to somebody, a particular preacher, and he was saying that the nursery school teacher actually wrote in his report card to his parents to say, he's a very good kid, but he talks too much. And apparently that talks too much was supposed to be, because of the way the structure obviously of the society is, talking too much is a problem, because listen, we have other kids, we need to get things going. But that became his success signature. He became successful because he can speak, because he can articulate himself, because he talks. So most of the time is understanding what your signature is. What is your purpose? What are you called? What is your core? What makes you tick? And then you can now start planning accordingly. So if it's a career this year, okay, I want to look this certain way. I want to be fit. You need to define what is that fit? What does fit look like? Some people's fitness is that, okay, I just want to have a flat tummy. That's it. I don't want to build muscles. So immediately I get a flat tummy, I'm done. So what do I need to do to get the flat tummy? Okay, I need to stop eating certain type of meal. So it's good to have people around you. But if I surround myself with people that want muscles and everything, and then I hear them talking about, okay, you can take these steroids, or you can drink that powder, you can. So then all of a sudden, I wanted a flat belly, but they've taken me somewhere else. that I wasn't really planning for. So most of the time you find out that because we are influenced by our surroundings, we're influenced by what we hear, we're influenced by what we see, a lot of times we start making decisions, and that's one of my prayers that I pray a lot, that help me to make the right decisions. Because sometimes you make a decision, it takes you 2 years back. You now need to almost like, like you're driving on the motorway, you miss some turns, and then you have to now drive for maybe like 40 miles, spin round, and then start heading to where you want to go. So most of the time, what I'll say to a lot of people that are online listening, in 2025, try to be slow to make decisions. Don't just make decisions on a whim. Try and do enough research, and if you're going that direction, is there somebody that has taken that direction before?
There's this that they made. Sorry, I just wanted to just make like a comment on that aspect, and it will be followed up with a question where you said you take time to know what exactly you want to do. The truth is, some people have rock up to me and say, I don't know what I should be doing, but they don't just want to stand still. Well, they'll find it, they'll figure it out, on the way. And what would you say to people like that, who, for instance, I know some people may like this, the guy speaking, or the kid who was, talking in class and all that. Yeah. I believe at some stage, probably someone will have said, do you know you can actually, talk? And you find people who are in different industries, being a lawyer, being an accountant, because the way they manage. Are you kidding me? You save this much? I think you should be an accountant. Or they just speak and it's like, wow, you actually explained yourself and you defended this lady in front of the committee. I think you should look into, something like law or things like that. Or someone who sings every morning, just singing, and you tell the kid, well, I feel you have a very great voice. But sometimes I was watching Americans Got Talent, and some kids came to sing. They were so disappointed because I don't know if they were disillusional or what was the word to use. Apparently, everyone told them around them, and his family members told them they could sing. And as a viewer, just watching, I knew that there is no way on earth that you could be. You are far away from singing. You have no business. You have no business singing. And even after the whole judges said no, and said she should look for something else, she was being very rude. I was saying there's no way. Everyone says I could sing. And what do you say to people like that who probably have been pushed in the wrong direction and some have been pushed in the right direction?
Right direction, yeah. I think at some point everyone don't really know what they want to do, or at times it just feels like you just go with the flow till a certain point, then you figure it out. So some people might have to do that journey. So you have different category of people. There are people that knew right from childhood that they wanted to play football. They just knew because they had this sudden consciousness within them that was real to them, that they loved playing football. So sometimes your purpose is what you love doing. And so you might be something on that. So we're talking about, in a nutshell, how to identify your purpose, how to identify what. So sometimes it might just be, I like singing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you could make it as a musician. It could be that you just like singing. But then there might be other multiple things. So it's to identify what you like doing. So the person that maybe just like speaking or like talking, what are the options that are available? And I think this is where parents play a very important role. So if your child maybe likes talking, you could open them up to hosting shows, radio shows and stuff like that, where they can actually just talk. And to them, it's nothing. But to everybody, it's like, oh my God, wow. And they're just like, okay, so I'm just being me. So then life becomes enjoyable. I think sometimes But then there's a caveat to that. Somebody told me sometimes what you love doing doesn't put food on the table. so let me balance it up, okay? Because sometimes what you love doing don't put food on the table. So we have to be realistic with certain things and approach to life. So there might be something that you like doing. That's a way of discovering what direction to go. Sometimes it might be, like you said, just moving along and somebody identifies that, hold on, you could actually do this course, you look like you have the skill set. So that's another way. Maybe family, friends say, you are very good at this, and you now see a lot of people are saying you are good at this. Okay, let me research on this thing to kind of figure out. But I think what we're saying, all in all, it's important to know where you're going, because if you know where you're going, you kind of understand what sacrifice to get there, because like I was saying before, you now know who to go and talk to. If I'm a footballer, if I want to be a footballer, I can see people that have gone ahead of me, and get close to people that are footballers and say, okay, so how do you do, and then I get insight of what to do as I'm drawing my my career goal or my plan. Okay, I want to be this at the end of, I have to take this step to get there. I have to practice every day. What are the things I need to practice? So but that's the key. I believe that's where some of us wondered, and then eventually, but there are some people from childhood. Lewis Hamilton, Formula 1 driver, started driving from childhood. He knew what he wanted to do, right? And he's been won all, so many championships. He's well recognized all over the world. Why? Because he wanted to do that. Table tennis, Djokovic. What's the name of this guy? I've forgotten his name now. The one that they refused him to get into Australia the other time because of COVID. I forgot his name. Not Rafa Nadal. Not Rafa Nadal. I forgot
something. Wovic. Forgotten his name.
Yeah. It you get me. So they started when they were young. Footballers, Saka, Arsenal. They started when they were young. Phil Foden, Manchester City. They started when they were young. Why? Because they identified. So it makes the journey easier because they start young and they start doing that thing over and over and over again. So by the time they are like 20, they have maybe like 15 years experience. They're 20 years age, but they've got 15 years experience. So all of a sudden it's a different approach. But sometimes many of us wander around, then we become adults, and then life hits, and then you have to get a job, family hits, so you're in a job that you probably don't like, you probably not, it's not you, it's like you're in a job, that's not you, so and then all of a sudden it's like, this year. So, but if you discover that, you can now start, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to change my career? How am I going to change my career? And then you just walk towards that. Talk to people that have that same career and hear from them and talk to them, and then you start motivating yourself that it's possible. Because when you have this type of people, coaches to talk to you, or somebody that has done it before, it's almost like, I can do it. If the person can do it, I can do it. If you're going through setbacks and challenges, because when you set your goals, you're going to make sacrifices. You have to be flexible, and then you're going to have setbacks. So how do you deal with setbacks? Do you give up? Do you just throw off? Nah, whatever, man. Come on, man. So do you give up, or do you encourage yourself? That's why we say those small wins are very good, because it makes you look back and say, okay, January was good, we couldn't do it on February, we almost got it, but we'll do better March. So there's something to look back on, and then you have somebody as a mentor that you can talk to and say, listen, this happened, come on, we've been there. It's like when I started as a business analyst, it was, so when I have people that just started as business analysts, and come on, man, I can tell you so many stories where I got into meeting and they're just like, what am I doing here? Because because you're new, you're going to be worried, you're going to be panicked that you're not going to be able to deliver. So, but when somebody has gone through that road, I say, listen, it's okay to be nervous. You got this. You know, you have the skill set, you have the capacity. When you go there, just tell them, speak. Don't be afraid of anybody. And then the person that gives you that renewed confidence. You need coaches to say, okay, do you know what happened? You need to go and learn this skill set. It looks like you're struggling with that skill set. You need to go learn that skill set. And then that makes you, when you study the skill set and you go out there and you do what you're supposed to do, and you now get feedback. Oh, wow, that your talk today was really good. That feedback is the boost. You see, short-term goals, that boost, you feel good. You feel, yeah, I'm the man. Come on, let's go. You need that to keep you going to the end. If it's just struggle and pain and oh my God, by the time you get to November, by the time you finally buy the house, you're exhausted. You can't even enjoy the house. You're tired. It's like you're tired. So that's why those celebration is good, because it boosts yourself, and then you have people around you to help you out. So mentorship is good. Good to be accountable to somebody, especially in whatever field that you're doing. So to caveat what I was saying, sacrifice, you can't escape from it. I'm sorry. In order to achieve your goal, sacrifice. Be flexible. Don't box yourself into corners. A lot of people do that a lot. You just box yourselves into a corner. Give yourself room for maneuver. Life. Somebody says that certain things don't happen to you in life. Yeah, it happens to you. It doesn't happen to life. It happens in life. So things in life, things happen to you. Things don't just happen, but in life, things happen to you. So it's important to factor in that life will happen. Life will happen. Rushing to get the children to school, get to the car, tire is flat. It wasn't flat yesterday night. Life happens. Now you need to, but that's where that room, give yourself enough time that if there's any issue, you can react to it. That's the same thing. Whatever goal you're setting, give yourself room to maneuver, so that if a setback happen, which is life will happen to you. I say it again. Life will happen to you. Something is going to happen that you didn't anticipate, that you didn't plan for. So you have to create. That's why we have risk analysis in business analysis, where you have a risk, you assess the risk, and you have to find like a way of balancing it out. Because you run to the car and say, oh, I need to leave here by 8:30. And you get to the car by 8:30, and then you discover that you have a flat. The tire doesn't announce itself to you when you are sleeping the night and say, hey, I'm flat. No. I'm going down. But then, that's the reason why you get to the car. Give yourself 10 minutes. So you get to the car, 8:20. Oh, we got a flat. Excellent. Boom. Get your tire pump. 5 minutes done. You're still driving out at 7:30. But if you come out 7:30 and you have a flat, and I don't know, so it's like my area, for 10 minutes, the traffic is like everybody's trying to get out by 10 minutes. If you get there 10 minutes before, it's peace like a river. If you get there 10 minutes, within that 10 minute slot, if it is 8 to 8:10, it's chaos. There's traffic everywhere. Immediately it gets to 8:10, it's like somebody, it's a signal in the realm of the spirit. You don't see, if you get to the road by 8:10, it's clear. If you get to the road before 8 o'clock, it's clear. If you are there between 8 and 8:10, it's traffic. So you have to understand that. That's why flexibility is important when you are putting your plan together, when you're putting your vision board together. Always in your short-term goals, okay, in case this happen, let me build in a buffer around me. Let me just put this money aside. So instead of reading 200, or instead of saying you're going to eat once a day, and then at the 8th month you have ulcer, now you are treating ulcer, and you need money to buy medicine. So all the money you've been saving now goes. So it's like you give yourself room for, okay, let's not kill ourselves to get to, that's one of the things that my mentor taught me, who's my senior pastor, is don't box yourself in. Because that's why people get desperate. This thing has to work. Why? Because you boxed yourself in. If it doesn't work, yeah, we'll still survive. It's different. But when you've put all your cards and your chips on it, then sleepless night comes. Then depression, because if this thing doesn't work, I'm finished. How did you get yourself to that point where if it doesn't work, you are finished?
Yeah, so, I would like to push back a little bit on that aspect before you now just give us the final word for this episode. To let people know what they need to be doing in this 2025. Just the mantra that they can use, that they can also apply. Now, in terms of being desperate, I think being desperate might have the same a little component of someone being determined. See, so if you know, just like you talked about time, that time is going, so you're not going to treat that application or that job interview lightly. It's going to be a life and death, especially when God has stirred the waters. When you know you're supposed to be doing something, and it has a little components of being desperate. Desperate is more or less like, you're just flinging things. You are just, you're trying, and then you begin to lose patience. But determination is, the bridge is burnt. We have to win. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our children, they are waiting to see how we can come back home successfully. So that is not being desperate. Being desperate is you get to the wall and you're just shooting everywhere. Just prayers. Just you just wonder. No. But being determined is being cool and knowing that this is what it will require. Yeah, it will require me eating once a day, and this is because it's affecting a lot of people around me, and I'm going to this battleground because I have to survive. And that's why you have the arrow on the guy's shoulder, and the guy is breaking it. It's not like he doesn't feel the pain. He has his grandmother, his mother, his wife, his children. They don't want, he doesn't want them to be slave. So I actually encourage people to because life will give you what you demand of it. Being complacent and saying, okay, you have leeway, like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, he said plan B sometimes distracts plan A. And I'm that kind of person where I want to zone in on what I want to do, and there is no other option. Because when my brain feels this, this can work. If you don't finish this, you can do this, you can do that. I'm like, okay, so that's fine. Okay, we'll just do as able, and I will see how we go. But I try to zone in using that, say, okay, this is plan A, and this is what it will require, like you said. Then I go tick, 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 tick. I stick to that resume and get the outcome. So it's more like a predictable outcome. Not saying that you might fall sick, but then you get back up again and you keep moving. So it's just that fine line between people are being very, very desperate and people are being determined. Determination is good. In order for you to meet your goal, you have to be determined. That's like basic, is determination. But what I was referring to is the level of your risks. You won't see, because for example, now you said, okay, because life will happen. I think it's good to be determined. It's good to plan. So it's okay, I'm eating once a day. Let's say, for example, that's that analogy. I'm eating once a day. And because I'm eating once a day, let's say, for example, life happened and the person now has ulcer because maybe the person has not been taking the appropriate nutrients. And let's say, obviously, if the person is working once a day, 9 out of 10 the person is working hard, because I've been through that phase in my life where
you are doing a lot of work because maybe you have to be there. Your time is your money, so you work here, you work there. So maybe you have 2 jobs and you are, and you're just constantly going, and you just grab one sandwich. So even the once a day you can sit down and you eat, but that's not enough to fuel your system. So let's say,
I wouldn't recommend. So
yes, no, I'm just saying that as an example.
I feel even the once a day should be a good meal, and the minimum, that's all it takes. It's not like it's just that in between enjoyment and suffering. That sweet spot.
There's a balance, absolutely.
Where you need to pick, just to show that you don't need anything extra. So let's say you have your full plate of food, you have your protein, you have your stuff. I mean, the body's resilient. You have you take a lot of water.
You take your
good meal once a day. I mean, we've done it. We've done once a day for years.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, don't go there. Don't go there. Yeah, we have done it, but
that's why we're on this show, Contemplate Show, because we need to rub minds and kind of meet at the middle. So I agree with you also that being extreme, where you're reading and your brain is tuned out, and you say you have to read. I don't subscribe to that. Where you see that you're sick, clearly you can't work, but you are going to work. But I think there's a sweet spot between being proactive. For instance, have you sent the email? Well, send it whenever you can, but we need the email by Monday. So that kind of a little pressure, just so you have that bit of deadline, like the milestone you talked about, will really energize people. When they send that email or that report, they can celebrate, they can feel relieved. So I guess that's where I'm coming to, that if the amount of sacrifice you talked about is actually depends on the output, because you can eat 3 times a day and you finally get your result, but your deadline will move back. And someone who just bare minimum, where he's not dying, just in between, just not suffering and not will achieve that goal. So that's so so I think that's a good note. So to wrap up this,
let me just say this briefly. It's to strike a balance, because you don't necessarily have to eat once a day. What I'm saying is that your once a day can be spread out to 3 times a day. So you are still going to have, for example, you've budgeted £10 or $10 to eat in a day. You can choose to spread it out so that you are not. What we're trying to do is to make people. I get it. There's a sacrifice to be made, but then also factor in that life will happen. And what you don't want is a situation whereby, and I use the analogy of putting, for example, somebody makes an investment, and that investment is holding the debt. You've locked everything into that investment, and you've locked it in such a way that it has to work. So you are not factoring life. So when I'm saying you have to be 100% committed to the cause, you have to make sacrifice, but there are certain things that are out of your hands. Another example is when you are talking about the interview. I can study and I have the experience and I'm ready for the interview, and I go to that interview. I have found out that sometimes when I went to the interview, I knew everything they were asking me. But when I do interviews when I'm in contract and when I do interviews when I'm out of contract, there's 2 differences. One, when I do it when I'm in a contract, and the contract, maybe I'm trying to see if I can get a better contract, then I leave the contract. I noticed that 1, I'm more confident. 2, I'm not even like, okay, whatever.
Under pressure.
So what I was trying to say is that don't put yourself under determination, not pressure that will give you depression, high blood pressure. No. So when I went to the interview and I know that I need this 500 a day, so all of a sudden there's an extra pressure, and what you know and the confidence that you normally express, all of a sudden it's like it disappears, because all of a sudden everything is your whole nerves, there's tense in your body.
You're being desperate, and even when they're asking the questions, you are just shooting. You're not
because
calm.
you're
You're not
okay,
cool and collected.
I need to get this. I need to get
I need to get.
In order for you to achieve your goal, it is important with the small short-term goals to achieve the final long-term goal. You have to make sure that when I say you give yourself wiggle room, don't put yourself in a position where you are desperate, because when you are desperate, when you are determined is good, but when you are desperate, it releases a natural chemical inside you. Another very good example is, have you ever been driving to maybe a meeting or driving to work and you run into a traffic and you know that I'm going to be late, and you need to be at that place either at the airport to catch a train, or at the airport to catch a plane, or at the train station to catch that train. All of a sudden you were calm, you were absolutely fine, but now all of a sudden your concentration is everywhere, you are tense, what I'm saying is that don't put yourself, but if you put yourself in a situation whereby if I miss that train, I can catch the next train. So now you're relaxed. Now you are not beeping your horn. So when you are putting down the short-term goals to achieve your long-term goal, that's what I mean when I say give yourself wiggle room, so that it doesn't become a case like oh my god. And when you now go into that oh my god mode, you are not at your best. You start making wrong decisions. You start
your judgments
you are not supposed to
be
do.
Clouded. Yes. All right. Thank you, Pastor Eddie. We just need you to give us one sentence of what our viewers will take going into 2025, achieving and setting big goals.
This is a great year. 2025. There's a lot of opportunities. And there's a lot of things out there. Like I said in a sentence, believe in yourself, trust in God. The Bible will say trust in the Lord and don't lean on your own understanding. So believe in God and let him lead you. Trust in your believe in yourself. A lot of people struggle from low self-esteem. Believe in yourself and start from where you are. It doesn't matter wherever you are. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. It doesn't matter what the failure has happened in the past. It doesn't matter what anybody has said. Start from where you are and start taking that small baby steps. If you need to talk to somebody, reach out. And if you need to speak to family, if you need to speak to somebody that's a spiritual leader or something like that, speak to somebody so that you get yourself in the right frame of mind. So that you can run this excellent journey and get to your goal at the end of the year. And we'll be celebrating you all the way. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Eddie. Once again, this is a wrap for the first episode of the Contemplate Show. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If there's any topic of interest and you need us to talk about it, please put it in the comment section and we will attend to it. From me, your host, Enoch Ogie, I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.